inside of FedEx Forum and Into Thunder Live. I'm Paris Lawson, sitting next to the Thunder's very own Royce Young. And there's so many things that we could talk about in this game. But, Royce, I want to start with the hustle, the fight, and then the endurance by the Thunder that we saw in the second half.
Amazing. I mean, I was watching this Thunder fan standing over here. I mean, we're many minutes since the final horn, and he's just been standing over there. He's been shaking his head, just randomly clapping. And I think that's kind of how all of us feel right now.
Like, wow.
It's like, wow, that was something else.
Right?
And it took a lot of things to kind of break the Thunder's way. A lot of things. The defense in the second half was absolutely outrageous. Outscored the Grizzlies 63-31 in that second half. And really, there's so many moments I feel like we could go through this game and say, well, that was kind of the moment, or that one was kind of it. I do think that, and I just told you at Paris, I think Chet's three right out of halftime, I think it cut the lead to like 24 or something like that. But it
was
felt
the spark.
It felt big. It just felt like that's what the Thunder needed to do. They needed to hit that shot, and then they got to stop right after it. And then you could just kind of feel it. It wasn't like this avalanche and one of those kind of just wave runs where the Thunder are just hammering Memphis. It was just methodical. Just a little 6-2 spurt, a little 7-3, a little 6-2. They just did it throughout the second half. Just an incredible second half comeback.
Well, this is what we've seen from the Thunder throughout the course of the regular season. Weathering storms. This team is so good at that. And to the Thunder's credit, this was a hurricane from the Memphis Grizzlies here tonight, coming out really strong. And the Thunder knew that Memphis was going to throw a punch in this game. Their backs are kind of against the wall. They're in their home arena. They're feeling really comfortable, and they found some rhythm. A lot of the guys that hadn't gotten going so far in this series finally caught a little bit of a rhythm, and the Thunder, to their credit, remained poised, calm, and just did what they do best, and that's stack stops defensively.
Absolutely, and great call, Paris. Memphis deserves a ton of credit for this game. They played an awesome game, and even with the unfortunate injury to Ja Morant and him going out, he was playing great, but Scottie Pippen Jr. was lights out in that first half. Santi Aldama was knocking down shots. Everybody from Memphis, you could feel the energy that they and the pride that they really played with in this game, and so it was on the Thunder to answer it. And at some point, I don't know if the Thunder were caught off guard a little bit by it. Some of it's shooting variance, when Memphis is knocking down shots at the rate they were, and the Thunder were not shooting the ball well in that first half. But again, you just have to keep playing the 48 minutes. You never know what's going to happen. You just keep battling through it. And even in the second half, SGA picks up 5 fouls with like 9 minutes left in the game, and you're going to need him on the court. So it's other guys. Chet Holmgren was amazing. J-Dub was awesome in this game. And, of course, Alex Caruso, one great defensive play after another down the stretch. I mean, he's just going to have a highlight reel of incredible defensive clutch plays from this series.
I mean, the one where he dove on the floor for the loose ball, got the timeout. Electric for Oklahoma City in this game. All right, we could talk for hours, but before we do that, let's bring in Chris Fisher and Michael Cage, the voices on tonight's call, and I got to get their perspective on this 29-point comeback victory.
Yeah, thank you, Paris. I'm glad that you and Royce took over there just so that Michael and I could catch our breath from that thrilling second half, the biggest playoff comeback in OKC history. And Michael, I want to go back to the point of the game when there was that flagrant one that got upgraded by the officials with the sort of the kick on Isaiah Hartenstein from Scottie Pippen Jr., because that's where it started to seem like the Thunder were able to capitalize on that possession. They got the free throws. They ended up having a big one, and that's when they started to climb back in it. And the way that they played offensively in the third quarter and then defensively in the fourth quarter, so many things had to go right, and ultimately they were able to get over the top and complete the comeback.
Well, first of all, you just don't see a game like this. As Paris just pointed out, down 29 points. You don't hang your head down. You're down 26 at halftime. But I was watching the guys' body language at halftime. They were out there talking, okay, we got plenty of time. We got 24 minutes to right the ship. And they did just that. They did it with defense. They did it with three-point shot making. They did it with guys stepping up. You talk about a total team effort tonight that was really, you don't see that often in playoff basketball where there's not that many possessions. The Thunder made it that many possessions with their defense. You just heard Royce talk about Alex Caruso's defense, Cason Wallace's defense. You brought up a really, I thought, turning play for the Thunder with Hartenstein, taking that flagrant one, knocking down both free throws, and you could just sense that the Thunder were slowly cutting into it. And then when you look at the stat sheets, folks, there's some crazy numbers here. They had a 36-point third quarter. They got 10 steals already. This is back to business of what the Thunder have been doing all season long to be one of the top-ranked defenses. And they only had 51 points at halftime. 51. They finished with 114 points. It's just a team that's really done this all season. That's why they had 68 victories, because they never hang their head down, and they always think they got a chance to win the basketball game. And they did just that tonight here in downtown Memphis.
Yeah, just another reminder, it does not matter. You might be down by 29 points, but if you dig in, you got a little bit of time, you can complete that comeback. And a lot of things had to go right tonight for Oklahoma City, but they stuck together. Tough environment on the road. To do that on the road is even more impressive with this Memphis team that desperately needed a win, down 2-0.
Yeah, great stuff by the Thunder here tonight. So impressive on so many different levels, as you guys so eloquently pointed out. Chris and Mike, thank you so much, as always. We appreciate it. Now, for those of you that might have tuned in a little bit late to this game, we forgive you, first of all, but this was a tale of two halves, truly. The Thunder, in the first half of this game belonged to the Memphis Grizzlies wholeheartedly. But then, coming out of halftime, there was a flip that was switched, and that third quarter, it belonged entirely to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who outscored Memphis 36-18.
You know, a lot of things just started kind of going right for the Thunder. Of course, the ball going in the basket is number one of them, and Chet Holmgren was at the forefront of that, knocking down, I think, 4 threes in that second half, and one of them late in this game, Paris, to tie it up at 108. But they're just the little stuff as OKC just was able to kind of just hang around in the game. Of course, the stops so big. This three from J-Dub was huge right here to beat the buzzer at the end of the third quarter, because again, there was a number of different times where the Thunder, got the lead down to 10, and you felt like, okay, I feel like everybody was saying the same thing. If they just get it to 10, they're going to come back and win this game. But then Memphis did a great job of getting it back to 15 once.
Right.
They got it back to 14 another time. So Memphis answered back. So it was on the Thunder to re-answer that a couple of different times and get it back to 10 again. And so those types of shots were so critical and so big. And then once it got down to 2 possessions, you could really feel like the Thunder and just the level of experience that they have and the defensive mentality was going to be able to stack up the stops to get it done.
And even when the Thunder tied the game, Memphis went on that 6-0 run. It felt like, okay, Memphis might try to keep this game within arm's reach. But to your point, Royce, the Thunder's defense absolutely menacing and smothering down the stretch of this game. So many different guys getting in on the action. The ringleader, I would say, was Alex Caruso.
Absolutely, just incredible. So many different plays that he made. Of course, Dort, you can expect him to be on the floor always right there. Chet Holmgren was monstrous on the glass. Did a great job battling Memphis's bigs. This was kind of the game-sealing rebound and run out right there for AC. They kind of put the game away. But again, just 31 points for Memphis in that second half. And it was kind of back to what they struggled with in games 1 and 2, where a lot of their possessions stretched out. What they did great, and this was a lot of the conversation coming into it, in that first half, they played with a ton of pace.
Yep.
And that wasn't just transition basketball, but that was first action stuff. When they got their first open look, they were taking that shot, and they were, to their credit, knocking them down. And as the game tightened in the second half, of course, the absence of Ja Morant, I'm sure, had something to do with it, but they started passing up on some of those looks.
Right.
Their offense slowed down, and it let the Thunder's defense really dig its claws in.
And they just started to get really disjointed, which led to guys who were making a lot of threes in the first half not really finding the same rhythm. Guys like Scottie Pippen Jr. and Luke Kennard not being able to connect on those threes in the second half of this game. But we talked about a guy who had a really big impact on this one. Alex Caruso finished with 4 steals in this game. But even if he didn't have a single steal, Royce, I think his ability to just completely muck up the game, whether that's get a deflection, he had 10 coming into this game. He might have doubled it in this game by himself. But just his activity all over the floor, so impressive.
If you're wondering at home, that's not a motorcycle firing up around us right now. They're pulling up like the like playoff logo stuff off the score. So it's distracting me too. I'm sure you can hear it. But anyway, to your point, Paris, AC, like as he did, and we talked about this in the pregame show, of just his ability to just disrupt possessions, but with ball denial, simple things. Of course, the loud stuff, the deflections, the steals, that's the type of stuff that you can really notice. But like he switched on to Jaren Jack different times and just denied him a post-entry pass, or even beyond that, it just took him an extra 3 or 4 seconds to get that post-entry pass in cleanly to Jaren Jackson.
Right.
So those little things tally up and really make a big difference in how you stack your defensive stops.
Well, while they continue to tear up the floor here in Memphis, we're going to go over to the press room and hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault postgame.